Here we go. Success. Everybody in this room probably can define success a bit differently. For some, it could be sales. For some, it could be metrics. For others, it could just be finishing the game. In my opinion, what's more important is that success leaves trails. A trail of good decisions that can be followed and learned upon. My name is Radu Ziemba, and I'm managing partner at Deadline Games. I'm in charge of everything design specific. Thankfully, today I will talk about not our games, but how we deconstruct our games and how we learn to improve our games by deconstructing others. Don't worry about taking pictures of the presentation. At the end, I have Scan Me, and you can just download the presentation and all the additional information there. Vampire Survivor makes the list of the games that we call one-hit wonders, which are probably very unpredictable in a way. A story that everybody hopes for their own to happen, but it's just lottery in my opinion. But when a game like Vampire Survivor happens, games follow the path led by this one-hit wonder. And you start seeing games that took the idea and added a lot of other things to it and just came with a twist to the original game and had their own success based on the initial game. They basically followed the path led by that little game. And in my opinion, with games that are one-hit wonders, it's a possibility that you see a genre being born. And what developers do that follow the path is play, which is the thing that we have to do more and more in today's world. We see a lot of games, we have to be in flow with the market, we have to act on the opportunity immediately, because playing as a dev is one of the most important parts of the job. You have to be able to break down what works, how it works, and why it works fast. So in my opinion, when I'm talking about deconstruction, I see it in three ways. And the first way is that we say surface level deconstruction. You want to do a game like Valheim, but you didn't play it because it's a bit too hyped, but you want to do something like that. The other method and level is structured approach, where you start analyzing and understanding the loops behind the games, and you have like the deconstructor of fun approach, where you just understand the surface level. And third, and what we do at work, is the reconstructive approach, is where we take down games, we break them down to data, and then reconstruct based on what we learn. So my presentation today will show three of the methods that I use on a day-by-day basis at work. First is session logging, 2 is moment dissection, and 3 is feature reverse engineering. And during the talk, I'll show 3 of the tools that I use on a day-by-day basis: Sheets, Vegas, and Photoshop. So cool. Session logging. The first method I use every day at work. Basically, whenever I find a game that I'm interested in deconstructing, I log everything I do inside the game. I log everything, my clicks, my upgrades, my decision, my timings, everything is logged. To show you a proper example of how I do that, I've chosen a game called Capybara Go, which is the last one I've deconstructed at work. It's a text-based idle RPG with the meta systems inspired by Habi, which have released Archero and Survivorio. All the 3 games are very successful. So how does logging work? Is basically I take screenshots at every step I have inside the game. Whenever a pop-up appears or an upgrade I do, whenever I see a new menu, I do a screenshot, and otherwise I do videos, and I record all of those, and I take them into a Dropbox, and from there, I analyze all the videos and screenshots again, and I transform what I've played into spreadsheets and data. And I think it's very important to see how I organize these sheets, because at the core, we are looking at 3 very common things in all games. We have the gameplay, the meta, and the progress. So gameplay is what players do in a session, the meta is what happens between the sessions, and the progress is the measurable outcome of both gameplay and meta. And I'll break them down visually for further information. So gameplay sessions is basically what the player does inside the game. Looting, surviving, exploring, you name it. It's on a game-by-game case. Outside of the gameplay, you have the meta layer, where it's like upgrades, merge, collecting, crafting, whatever you do outside with the progress you have in the gameplay. And the measurable part of both gameplay and meta is the player progress, which is usually sits around stats, milestones, achievements, and whatnot. This usually tracks your long-term goal. And the way I see it, whenever I play a game, is that these three layers are usually connected between them. And gameplay oftenly improves meta actions, and player progress also defines your gameplay sessions. And from this point onward in the presentation, I'll have to show you some sheets, and I try to simplify them as much as possible. So whenever I play a game, I create these tables where I log the session ID. Basically, whenever I open a game, that I attribute that number with 1 for the start. The next thing I do is a date and time to know exactly when I started that session. Obviously, the power I had when I started the level. Gameplay ID is basically if I play more levels in one session, I count them also individually. Chapter is the level I'm playing right now. And the rewards is basically what I got from that session. This gives me an initial idea of how to look at the gameplay, and obviously, when you do a lot of runs, this grows into a big spreadsheet with a lot of information. For you, it's easier to just look at these two numbers, which is the power progressed to 500,000, and the chapter went to level 16 in just 7 days. Whenever I step away from the gameplay, I'm starting to look at meta actions, basically what I want to do outside of the game. And this is, in a way, interpreted as a little story, and I'll show you how I do it. Basically, the action type is, again, correlated with the session I'm playing, and I note down if I failed or completed the level, what the reward was, and what I got out of it. In this case, for Capybara Go, the most important part where you get power is the talents, and I'm tracking them more immediate. And the next thing I'm really looking to track is the gameplay modules I unlock and how they affect my progression. And obviously the shop, because this kind of free-to-play games, it's very important to note down the offers you get and when you get them. So to look at an example, in the first session I played Capybara Go, I failed the level. But with that, I unlocked the talents, which also gave me some gold rewards and some energy back. I upgraded my talents to level 18, and sorry, can somebody bring me some water, please? Like a bottle or something? And the cost per level was 200 gold. In the next session, I managed to finish the gameplay session. I completed it, and I locked 4 more rewards and features, and I got 1 key and 10 energy. I leveled my talents to level 23, and it cost me 200 gold to do that. In my next session, I failed the gameplay session 4, but I unlocked the tower event. I leveled my talents to level 48, and the cost increased. I got 7 floors in the new event, and those gave me 10 keys, which helped me unlock the gear. And I also ended up getting an offer for 22.99 RON to get some energy and some gems out of it. Thank you, mate. What a good assistant. Cool, so when I'm done with the meta actions, basically I play a game, then I go outside, I upgrade my gear and everything. I do a snapshot for the player progress. This is basically when I look at the account and I say, okay, on this account so far I never spent a dime. This is the date and hour when I did the snapshot. So far, like I said, 0 money spent on this account. My account level is Apprentice 1, because Capybara Go has some weird naming conventions for your level. The power I have is 1,000. I have 100 gems because I want to see how much gems I have to see if I have hoarding behavior or spending behavior. The gear I have currently on me, because the game has like 6 pieces of gear. My talent level 0 when I start, and pets 0. So again, this kind of gives you a snapshot of the progress. This grows in time, and you see how things affect your power and where you are in, let's say, 7 days after your initial starting of the game. So I got 6 pieces of gear on me. All of them are epic. The talents are now 857, and I have 500,000 of power. Another very interesting thing I do is when I play these kind of games, I usually play 2 accounts at the same time. One is with spending behavior of $0, and the other one is like I try to spend some money to see how I grow in power. And if you look at the chart, you immediately see that whenever you're spending money inside the game, you see the spikes of power comparing to the free account. And the more sessions you play and the more money you spend inside the game, obviously, you get more powerful when you do that. So basically, for me, it's very important to see these 2 accounts at the same time, because whenever I design free-to-play economy, I have to acknowledge what kind of boost the money gives you inside the game. And if it was to take some takeaways from what I do with logging session, is that this is the best way to actually remember how you play a game and transform the playing into actual data into spreadsheets. So it gives me a very clear understanding of how events work, where I got power from, how different systems impact the power inside the game, and how progression works for me. The next method I use is moment dissection. So if we are to look at this little video from a game called Cult of the Lamb, we see a typical boss fight occur, where you see you running around, dodging the boss's attacks, hitting some ads that are coming. Thank you. I'll eventually get free glasses till the end. And you just see part of the skills. Now, what I do is, when I have a video like that, I take all the video and place it in Sony Vegas, and I start looking at the details. I mark some key frames, basically between attacks and animations. I slow down and look for details, and I spot when animation change happens. So if you look again at the same video that I had with some small effects, is that you spot animation change occur, then you run a little bit around, and then a target marker appears down, and you start running away because you know that the boss will come there. You stop, he flashes, gives you some more time to move, and then he just drops in the spot where the marker was. When you slow down even more, you will see subtle information of where he will come and emerge, and then the boss fight continues. So this is just for one skill, and when you look at a boss fight, basically he has way more than those skills. So in case of Cult of the Lamb, the boss had like 4 attacks: ad spawn, following you, a bullet rain, and a ground wave. And I tried to match this to a timeline to better understand the framing of those skills. So for all attacks, you will see that they have a warning and a good timing between the release windows, the release window of the skills and the cooldown. And eventually, if you analyze more games and not just this one, you will understand that the timing of animations is usually where you get the idea of game feel. And this defines basically the difficulty of the fight and how you understand how the fight occurs and feels. Fuck me, man, I'm just a bit emotional today. Sorry for that. I had... God damn it. So yeah, the next thing I do is I use screenshots to analyze the gameplay part. This is from a game called Survivario. Basically, I look at skills, And from each upgrade, I try to see how the skill grows in power and in size. This is a good way to reconstruct a skill and understand how to increase its size through the levels. So from tier 1 to tier 5, you saw that we had a 300% increase from the base. So I'll go to the takeaways for the moment-to-moment dissection. They clearly help me understand how different boss fights work. They make me see details that you can miss when just playing the game, and you can learn how to get time clarity on skills, to do great pattern recognition, skill VFX understanding, and skill growth visualization. Then the last method I use, and it will be a little more fun to present, hopefully, is if I look at a game called Survivor.io. This is basically the advancement from Vampire Survivors. And this has a little fun story. The thing is that the developer from Vampire Survivors looked at what Archero was doing, and he got inspired to do Vampire Survivors from Archero. And then the developers of Archero looked at Vampire Survivors and said, OK, this is a cool game, and they made Survivor.io. So it went in a little loop from developer to developer. The event I'm looking, and I want to reconstruct, is a small feature called the bingo event. And it's quite common gameplay. You have a board of a bingo event. You have to spend tickets, and one tile gives you some rewards. I think everybody in the audience at least looked at a bingo one time in their life, so it's pretty straightforward. The thing I like the most about this event is that after a certain free rewards you get on the side, you get to a golden board that has like more special rewards, and it gives you this incentive to look forward to that reward. So what I did is that I wanted to understand how the bingo event was built, and I call it investigative play. So I wanted to see how many flips do I need to complete a board, what the tile rewards were, and what the side rewards were, and how the loot table looks like. And to do that, I had to have some quantity of tickets to play. So, and it's a big number of tickets, because usually an account gets like 100 non-paid per gameplay. So I looked at YouTube videos, and I did my own playthrough. And when I played 1,000 tickets, it reduced the randomness, and I started to see patterns. And this is how it looks like when I put all those gameplay sessions in Google Sheets. It's basically small bingo boards recreated, and I noted down all the rewards that I had. And when anything special happened, I just put it in this spreadsheet, split between normal runs and golden runs. So at the end, after I've played those 1,000 tickets, I got a distribution between the normal boards and the golden boards ones. And if you look at the rewards, you clearly see that the more important rewards come from the golden boards. So basically, players immediately understand when stepping in a golden board that the best rewards happen in the golden boards. Then again, I started to think what other KPIs I can see when I put them into Google Sheets. So usually, the average amount of flips to complete the board was 15.8. The golden board happened almost on 20% of the completion of the board, of the normal board, and flips until the first major reward were usually a 5.5. So again, this is a reverse engineering to build it. So what I said is it's time to see if I can match those patterns. So I built a small simulator inside Google Sheets, my go-to design tool for almost anything. Basically, this little script plays bingo boards following the rules from Survivor.io. And I wanted to see if I could mimic the outcome that I analyzed from the event. So as mentioned, the control algorithm, like the one that you see in the game, I got an average tickets of to complete a board of 15.8, and the golden board occurred on 90% of the boards. Obviously, the first algorithm I tried was a complete random one, and getting those free rewards to get inside the golden board is almost close to impossible. I simulated over 10,000 runs, and I could never get the golden board to occur on pure randomness. The second version of the algorithm was a scripted one where every 4 boards you would get a golden one, which again, it didn't work out really well because it felt like very scripted, because every four boards you would have gotten the golden one. The third and final version of the algorithm is the one that's closest to the control group. This one, I applied a thing called increasing odds dynamically. So basically, on the first board, you had like a 0% chance for a golden board. On the second one, you got like a 40%. On the third one, 80%. And then, obviously, the fourth one was a 100% chance to get it. So this is the final algorithm that we stick with. And again, like to show you how this works for our studio is that we started to implement this in an actual real scenario. So on 5th May, I started this deconstruction of the system. On 10th May, our tech team started to implement this little feature. On 15 May, I had the whole analysis and randomness done. On 26th May of this month, we launched the feature to 2,000 daily active users in one of our games. This is how the game looks like, so it's pretty much identical to the one that you saw from Survivorio. And because you look at a thing that works for them in a game that's played by millions, we immediately saw great results in the game. Even though the event maybe didn't do like a lot of money, but it increased all the other KPIs for our game. The session count, the session duration, and a lot of people just came back to play the event. So yeah, feature reverse engineering. I think it helps you break down features and rebuild them with purpose. Whenever you look at features from other games that are already live and successful, you can have like key takeaways and just reduce the time to implement them just by looking at successful games. So yeah, if I look at the whole process and some takeaways, I think deconstruction helps you grow smarter and ship faster and increase your odds to be able to be successful. And that's about it for my presentation. I'm sorry it wasn't, I was a bit emotional, so.
Super interesting, thank you, Radu.
Yeah, questions?
Yeah, let's take a couple of questions. Okay, I see one here.
Nope.
Hello, impressive deconstruction detail. I had a question. Do you also look at big picture player motivation? So to create something similar or to see, okay, the player is motivated like this or like that, you know?
Yeah, basically when I do the session logging, like the first part of my first method, I immediately see patterns with features that unlock at certain moments. And for me, usually I also note down, I have like small lines where I say, this is what I felt here. I started to feel like I'm tired. I don't like the game anymore. I feel like I'm gonna quit. And immediately, usually, I see that something pops my interest up. And I correlate it immediately to something that I unlocked inside the game. So when I do the session logging, I usually note that down as well. And I kind of see it immediately when my motivation goes down, a feature unlocks, and things become interesting again for me.
We had one here.
Hi, my question was sort of similar to the one that was asked about noting down the experience, right? How you feel about the things. And I'm curious, because I kind of imagine that when you start drafting off, these experiences aren't the first time that you're actually playing the game. So how much does it still, are you still able to capture the feeling of a new player, or do you actually rely on, I don't know, experiences of others when you try to write down the experience and the qualitative impact of going through the game?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because I'm trying as well when I'm doing the session logging to capture my emotions, which becomes a bit hard when you're working towards the game because you already know, oh, I have to log everything I do. For me, it kind of became like a natural thing, and I'm still focusing on the game, and my hand just like screenshots everything I see and everything. So I'm still very introspective to what I feel at different moments. It's not the level of like the game surprises me anymore, but it's still like I feel like a spider sense tingle happening from there moment to moment, and it usually correlates to this sensation I still have when playing. I can't explain it very well. It's like a deep down process I have already. Thank you.
Okay.
Andrei.
Yeah, I have a rather short question.
Yes.
This is pretty cool and awesome. It's also very laborious. It's a very laborious process. So in terms of, let's say, workload, how many hours do you usually spend in such an investigative process in terms of like really hardcore work hours?
Yeah, I mean, for example, if we look at the feature, the bingo one, so I started on May the 5th. By May 15, I already had all the results that I wanted. That would be like, let's say, 7 days of work, but it's not like full work. It's usually, because I have the process and the spreadsheets are built in a way that I can immediately fill without thinking too much, because I have the structure already. It usually takes like 4 hours per day, and I spend them like 2 hours to play, and then 2 hours to put the data in. And I usually do it immediately because it's very fresh to the memory. So I know that when I started, it's like 4 hours a day, and I just do that. And then I think about it more when I take a break and look the next day and see what I did. Cool.
I think we had a question here somewhere.
Yep.
Apologies for my voice.
No worries.
Do you use this process for original mechanics analysis as well?
Well, so for the original mechanics, what I do is whenever I have, let's say we did a gameplay event some years ago based on Monopoly. I didn't have like a reference for what it should be, but I still use Google Sheets to like simulate the initial version of the gameplay. So what if you can imagine it, you have like blocks, right? And you can simulate the board for Monopoly. And what I did is like, okay, let's create a script to roll 2 dice, like in Monopoly, right? And I started to see patterns, and I actually like colored 4 blocks for each Monopoly tile. So what I do is for original pieces, I still work with Google Sheets because I see it in a way as a game. I can basically recreate anything in it. I also did like a Mario game inside Excel at some point. So yeah, so with that.
Thank you very much, Radu.
Thank you.
Feel free to catch up with Radu.
Yeah, I'll be outside on the balcony,
so,
jumping.
Yeah.
Oh.
Next session